So I first joined STE, I want to say in like 2011. I was just beginning my kind of oil and gas career. I started out as an engineering tech for Occidental Petroleum, and it was kind of the go-to social or professional network for oil and gas professionals. It's kind of carried with me since. STE is unique, I think, in that it joins professional internationally. The oil and gas business is international, and therefore your network should also be international. It's a really great kind of one-stop shop for your technical knowledge, as well as furthering yourself as a professional, particularly as a young woman in the oil and gas industry. So I first joined STC, I want to say in like 2011. I was just beginning my kind of oil and gas career. I started out as an engineering tech for Occidental Petroleum, and it was kind of the go-to social or professional network for oil and gas professionals. It's kind of carried with me since. STD is unique, I think, in that it joins professional internationally. The oil and gas business is international, and therefore your network should also be international. It's a really great kind of one-stop shop for your technical knowledge, as well as furthering yourself as a professional, particularly as a young woman in the oil and gas industry.
Hey, Bonna.
So I first joined STD, I want to say in like 2011. I was just beginning my
You're a student, you need to be an STE member. If you're a new professional, you need to be an STE member. If you're a seasoned professional, you need to be an STE member. Everybody needs to be an STE member because STE is the largest organization of petroleum engineers. And there's something in it for everyone. Whether it's networking, jobs, information, or knowledge, you need to be an STE member. You're a student, you need to be an STE member. If you're a new professional, you
STE for me is my second home after my actual family. I have joined SB when I was pretty young. I won't say how young I was, but I tell you, I have been with SB close to 14 years. The time, effort, and money you invest in SBE is tremendous payback to your career, to your social network, and to your professional growth. I would not have done it any other way. STE for me is my second home.
How you're joining is to find people in your own profession who are really trying to put everything out there to give people as much of an education input as you need to keep the information back. But the only way you can do that is become a member. The value of the product you get for the cost of membership in SPU, it's off the charts. You get much more value than what it costs. And SPE's membership costs are so much lower than other professional societies, either equivalent size or larger, that it seems to me a no-brainer.
I think it's a really great way to network and meet new people. Not only people that are your age, but also some of the older people who have a lot more experience, and you get to learn so many different kinds of technical disciplines and just become a lot more well aware of all the different aspects of the industry. And so, for example, we have a lot of mentorship programs and a lot of different other training camps you can attend to become more technically disciplined, as well as kind of give back to society as a whole. I think SP is a great organization for a lot of engineers to join only because it really expands your knowledge. And so it's a great way to not only learn something different, but also be involved and be more able to network properly and really make some great contacts in the space.
If you work in the oil industry, for me, you have to join the SPE. There's no other society that have the various disciplines involved in the oil industry under one umbrella. So the SPE is the natural home for anyone involved in the oil industry.
Despite the fact that we've got social media, we've got Twitter, we've got websites and all that kind of stuff, I think that being a member of the SPE allows people to connect at a very human level. There are meetings, there are things like this, and you can be connected online, but nothing actually beats meeting people face to face.
All right. Thank you very much for the patience and your time waiting. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is John Kumsin. I am the Deputy Young Professionals Chair, and we are glad to have all of you on this lecture that seeks to talk about gas to power. So without much ado, I would officially proceed and then engage you on the ground rules. And so at this point, I would urge each and everyone to kindly mute your microphones unless you are called to speak. And again, you can use the raise hand button to seek permission to speak. All comments, questions, and contributions can be made in the chat room. And so we move on to the next one. So the program outline, we will welcome and have our overview of the meeting agenda. And then we also have open address by the organizer of the February lecture series. Then we look at the introduction of the speaker, presentation by the guest speaker. We take our questions and answers, and then look at the closing remarks. Then we take announcement on upcoming events. And so at this point, I'll give room to Kwamina, who happens to be the organizer for the lecture series, to have his open address. And so Kwamina, kindly take over from here.
Okay, thanks, John. And can you confirm you can hear me, please?
Loud.
Okay, so good afternoon to you all once again. Good afternoon, our distinguished guests, young professionals and students on this call. And it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you all to today's Young Professional and Students Lecture Series, proudly sponsored by the SPE Ghana section, that's Society of Petroleum Engineers Ghana section. And let me take this opportunity to appreciate the leadership of the SPE Ghana, especially the section chair and then the YP chair, the Young Professionals chair, for according me this honor to give the opening remarks for a timely lecture as this. We are gathered here to explore a critical topic that holds immense significance for Ghana's current and future of energy. The topic for today is gas to power framework, unlocking opportunities for a sustainable future. I really did not want to preempt what the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, said today in his State of Nation address. But it's worth mentioning that Ghana's energy sector is at a turning point where innovation, policy, and investment are shaping how we transition towards a more sustainable and efficient power system. Gas to power has been a game changer in ensuring energy security, driving economic growth, and creating new career and business opportunities for professionals who are also on this call. Today, we are honored to have an exceptional speaker, Mrs. Kate Poku-Alamte, who is a Senior Business Development Officer at the Volta River Authority, the biggest power producer in Ghana. And having known Kate personally, I am confident that she's not only diligent and committed to excellence, but has also played a significant role in advancing the gas to power business in Ghana. Her insights and experience will be undoubtedly valuable for this particular series. And as we engage here today, or all of us today, I would want to encourage all of us to be curious. We should ask questions and make the most of this opportunity to network and learn from the industry experts that we have today. Once again, thank you for joining us, and let's have an engaging and insightful session. Thank you very much. Over to you, John.
Thank you very much, Kwamina, for such an amazing open address. So I'll move on to the next thing. Yeah. And so even though we have Mr. Philip Bandini's picture here, but someone will do that on his behalf. And so at this point, I'll call Isabella to present on behalf of Mr. Bandini. Isabella, kindly have the floor. Hello, Isabella.
Sorry, I think she's not on the call.
I've seen her on the call, but
she-
she's muted. Isabella, you have muted yourself, so
Hello, John. Can you hear me?
yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, that's great. Hi, everyone. All protocol observed. I am Isabella Donko, the Deputy Student Liaison Officer for SPA Ghana, and I will speak on behalf of Mr. Bani, the Student Liaison Officer. So I would like to welcome everyone again to yet another lecture series. It has been an interesting journey, actually. And then for some time now, we have been talking about natural gas, the natural gas business and the economics involved. And today, as our organizer and our moderators have already said, we are going to delve deeper into knowing how gas is produced, how power is produced from our natural gas. We are privileged to have this lecture with our speaker, Mrs. Kate, and I'm sure that at the end of the lecture, we'll have a deeper understanding on our power produced from gas as a country, Ghana, and we'll also see how the future looks for us, as well as getting to know if there are possible advantages for us as citizens, professionals, young professionals, and students. So I urge all of us to actually give our maximum attention as we contribute and listen to this lecture and ask as many questions as we can. So let's have a great time. Thank you, John, and everyone.
Thank you, Isabella, for adding up as the deputy for Mr. Banini. And so we move on to the next item. Yeah, and so we have our speaker, Mrs. Kate Poku-Alamte. And so I would like to read the biography for our speaker for today. So Our speaker is a seasoned energy professional with over a decade of experience in the fuel sector, graduated from the Coventry University, UK, with a master's degree in oil and gas administration, currently serving as the Senior Business Development Officer at Volta River Authority. She plays a crucial role in contract negotiations, in the procurement of gas for power generation, analyzing market trends, identifying new business opportunities, and fostering strategic partnerships to enhance the fuel needs of the Volta River Authority, VRA. With deep expertise in fuel supply, energy markets, and power generation, she's been instrumental in driving initiatives that strengthen VRA's position in the energy sector. Her ability to blend technical insight with commercial acumen has led to successful engagement with key industry stakeholders. As a dedicated advocate for innovation and efficiency in the energy space, Ms. Kate is passionate about shaping the future of fuel supply and energy transition in Ghana. Her presentation at the Society of Petroleum Engineers reflects her commitment to sharing knowledge, fostering collaboration, and contributing to the industry's advancement. And so, everyone on the call, before our speaker takes over, I have this to share that the gas to power framework focuses on the strategic use of natural gas to generate electricity as part of a transition towards cleaner energy sources by leveraging the relatively lower carbon emission of natural gas compared to other fossil fuel like coal. This framework offers a critical pathway for reducing greenhouse gas emissions while maintaining energy security. Well, the framework supports the diversification of energy sources and emphasizing the integration of renewable energy to create a balanced and sustainable energy mix, fostering economic growth and resilience. Yeah, and so again, the introduction of this lecture series is to engage the young professionals and the students on energy trends and peculiar things that we need to know as part of our daily activities in the oil and gas industry. And so at this point, Ms. Kate Poku-Alamte, we are glad to have you on this call. And I know you've really prepared for this. And so I would like to hand over to you to give out your presentation. Thank you, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Start by sharing my screen. Once again, good afternoon to you all. It's a pleasure to be here today with you all. I'll be taking you through an important discussion on the gas to power framework, unlocking opportunities for a sustainable future. So we'll explore how natural gas plays a critical role in Ghana's energy, and the benefits, the challenges we face, and the opportunities ahead. Let's get started. So my presentation will take a form of, I'll talk about the global energy landscape, give a brief about natural gas, what it really is, and then how we'll transition from gas to power, the key players in the sector, regulation in the sector. Then I would touch on the types of plants we have in the sector as well, Ghana's role in gas, the role of gas in Ghana's energy mix, the challenges and opportunities, and then career and business opportunities that exist in the gas to power sector. So globally, the energy sector is currently undergoing a transformation, which is being driven by three key factors: decarbonization, digitalization, and decentralization. There's been a growing shift from coal to cleaner fuels. So gas is emerging as a key transition fuel in all this. Now you have some countries finding a lot of discoveries. So you have discoveries in Mozambique, Nigeria, Senegal, and here in Ghana as well. And I would also like to state that, well, in Ghana, our energy mix includes hydro, thermal, and renewables as well. Now, to put it simply, what is natural gas? Natural gas is a naturally occurring compound composed of primarily methane, so about 70% methane, along with smaller amounts of heavier hydrocarbons and impurities such as nitrogen, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and other impurities. So in Ghana now, we have three main sources of natural gas. We have gas coming from the Jubilee fields, gas from the OCTP. So OCTP stands for Offshore Cape 3 Points. And then we have Nigeria gas, which supplied to Ghana via the WACP. Now on my right, you see a pie chart. So this pie chart actually shows you the breakdown of, or the composition of the gas, the domestic gas, and the contribution of this gas in the country at the moment. So you have N-gas giving us about 19.05%, OCTP making up of about 58.3%, and then Jubilee about 22.62%. Now, when it comes to utilization options, natural gas is a versatile energy source with multiple applications. So it is used in industry, transportation, residential, power generation. Now in Ghana, mainly natural gas is used in power generation. In industry as well, we have a few of the ceramic companies also using natural gas for heating. We don't have natural gas for residential heating here in Ghana, but it exists in other parts of the world. The chart on my right is the annual 2023 annual gas utilization chart. So it shows you how natural gas was utilized in Ghana in the year 2023. And you can see that 41.3% went into power generation, 43.13% was re-injected back into the wells, and then about 11.19% was fled, and you have fuel gas, which is about 4.3%. So why is gas to power so important? The primary objective for gas in Ghana is to increase power generation capacity using domestically produced gas, while also considering imported gas as an option. Now I'll touch on the advantages of the usage of gas. So obviously gas is a cleaner alternative to coal and fuel and oil, reducing our emissions. It is cost effective, reducing electricity production costs. It provides a reliable and stable energy supply for industry, and also thereby leading into economic growth for the country. It supports renewable integration by serving as a backup for hydro, solar. We don't have wind yet in Ghana, but we hope to have that some years to come. Now, the gas to power value chain. So value chain basically is where the gas starts from and where it ends. I'm going to take you through that. Now, I'll start with the gas producers. So the gas is produced from the fields. And when the gas is produced from the fields, it's piped through subsea pipelines, which then goes to a gas processing plant for processing. And then after processing, the lean gas is then piped to the power plant, could be industry as well. Let's say the ceramics, but in this case, because we are talking about power, I would focus on power plants. So it goes to the power plants where the power plants use the gas to generate power. So at this point, the commodity gas is no longer gas, it has transitioned into power. The power that comes from the power plants is then transmitted onto our transmission lines, onto the grid, and then it goes to domestic distribution, and we eventually get the power in our house. So we are the final consumers of gas. So the chain from gas to power, the power eventually ends up in our homes. Key players in the value chain are divided into three main segments. So you have the upstream players, the midstream players, and the downstream players. Now in the upstream players, you have the gas producers. So you have Tullow, who's the main operator of the Jubilee and Tane fields. You have ENI, who operates the Sankofa, Jinyame fields. And then you have GNPC, who is the government of Ghana's rep in the upstream. And of course, Petroleum Commission, who is a regulator for all the upstream activities. Now we come to the midstream, you have Ghana Gas, in charge of transportation of domestic gas. And then you have WAPCO as well. WAPCO transports Nigeria gas via the WAPI to Ghana, to Tema and Takoradi. Now, you also have some major off-takers in the midstream who you'd either to think, why are they being considered as midstream players? So for instance, VRA and IPPs are typically considered as midstream players. The reason is that according to the Natural Gas Distribution Code, which was brought out by Energy Commission, Article 1.08, it states that any off-taker of gas who has a pressure offtake above 200 PSI should be considered or should be categorized as a midstream player. Now, 200 PSI is equivalent to about 13.8 bar. And for us in VRA, our inlet pressures are always between 32 to 36 bar. So that's why VRA is put as a midstream player. Now, most of the IPPs also uptake gas around 32 bar and all that. So that's why they are here, even though they are not involved in gas transportation, but they are still classified as midstream players. And now when you go to the downstream, this is actually the least developed sector in Ghana's value chain. And there's significant growth potential in this sector. So you have activities surrounding gas utilization, marketing and sales. You have the players in CNG, LPG distribution and sales. Now, to ensure smooth processes and operations in the gas to power sector, you need to really have a very robust regulation, like to be able to regulate all the entities in this sector. Now, if you look at the chart on your screen or the diagram on your screen, I have separated all the entities into the various sectors. So in the upstream, you have Petroleum Commission and the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. And then in the midstream, you have Energy Commission, PRC, EPA, and the Ministry of Energy. Now, PRC regulates pricing in the midstream. And then you come to the downstream where you have Energy Commission again, NPA and EPA. Now, NPA is also responsible for regulating pricing in the downstream. So, but Ministry of Energy oversees all the activities of all the sectors. So you can see that Ministry of Energy is actually featured in all the sectors here. Okay, so this slide basically talks about our transmission network, the current transmission network in Ghana. Now, this flowchart is actually showing the transmission of gas from the Western Corridor to the Eastern Corridor. When I talk about the Western Corridor, I'm talking about Western region and its environs, and then the Eastern Corridor, Tema, the industrial hub in Tema, that side. So I'm going to take you through this flowchart and help you understand how gas moves from the Western Corridor to the Eastern Corridor. So on my far left, you can see the Tane fields and the Jubilee fields. So these two fields are associated fields. When I say associated fields, it means that they have some oil components. Now, gas from the Tane fields and the Jubilee fields are piped through the GNGC offshore pipeline and goes directly to the Atuabo gas processing plant. Now, at the Atuabo gas processing plant, the gas undergoes processing where impurities and heavier hydrocarbons are stripped off. And the lean gas is then piped through the GNGC onshore pipeline. Now, if you remember, I mentioned that OCTP is also another source of domestic gas. Now, Only difference here is that OCTP is actually a non-associated field. So it has it's more of a gas reservoir. Now, the gas that is coming from the OCTP field doesn't need much processing like the gas that is coming from the TEN and Jubilee fields. So it actually just goes through the OCTP ORF. ORF basically means the onshore receiving facility. Now, this gas then meets the gas that is coming from the Atuabo gas processing plants in the GNGC onshore pipeline. The two sources of gas co-mingles and travels all the way to TDS. Now, TDS means Takoradi Distribution Station. Now, at the Takoradi Distribution Station, that facility is basically like a facility where the gas is going to be distributed to the various places. Now, you have some ceramics connected to this TDS. I didn't show it in this diagram, but you have some ceramics in Takoradi, Wankan, and Twyford who are connected to this distribution station and offtake gas here for heating in their industries. Now, from the TDS, there's a pipeline connecting the TDS to the WAPCO Takoradi R&M station. This WAPCO Takoradi R&M station is owned by WAPCO, and it also connects to the West African gas pipeline. Now, at the TDS also, there's also another pipeline that goes to VRA's Abuaze and serves the VRA enclave as well. So from the WAPCO Takoradi R&M station, the gas then moves in the opposite direction. So you can see that I've marked that place a reverse flow. Now, the reverse flow basically means that the gas is moving in the opposite direction. The reason being that, on the WACP, the gas is moving from east to west. So if you have the gas moving in the opposite direction, it's called like the reverse flow. So that's just basically. Now it moves in that direction. And mind you, there's also gas coming from Tema via the WACP. From Nigeria, sorry, to Tema via the WACP. Both gases commingle and goes to the Tema R&M station. Now, in the Tema R&M station, that station is owned by WAPCO as well. A few activities take place in the Tema R&M station, maybe pressure regulating activities, so that the gas is then sent to the final consumer at the spec the consumer wants and at the pressure the consumer requires it. So when the gas leaves the Tema R&M station, it is commingled. You have the reverse flow and the WACP gas commingling, and then going through the VRA line into the VRA gas interconnection facility. Now, the VRA gas interconnection facility, the facility is just there's a facility that has a big header, which has almost all the independent power producers having their gas pipeline joined to this header to offtake the gas, the commingled gas from the Tema R&M station. So you can see that you have SAPC at the top, Southern Asogli Power Company. You have TTPC, which is VRA's plant. You have KTPS, which is also owned by VRA in Pong. And then you have AXA and EPC. There's also an LNG flange, which is connected to the Tema LNG in Tema. And then there's also a spare flange for future opportunities if there are any new power plants that come on board. Now, the difference between this slide and the previous slide is that I have introduced the new baby on block. Now, the new baby. Okay, so the difference between the previous slide and this slide is that I have introduced the new baby on block. That's the new distribution line going to Kumasi. So the narrative still remains the same, but this time round, when the gas co-mingles in the GNGC pipeline after the OCTP ORF, the gas then goes to the Esiama distribution station, that's the EDS, where its pipes goes directly to Pristia, and then from Pristia to Awomaso, that's Kumasi. Now in Awomaso, VRA has a plant in Awomaso now, call it K1TP, where we also use this gas, the commingled gas from the TEN, Jubilee, and OCTP fields to power our plants in Awomaso. The other part of the diagram still remains the same as the previous one, so I wouldn't bore you on that. Let's go to the next slide. When it comes to power generation, efficiency really matters. So there are two types of thermal power plants. We have the simple cycle plants and then the combined cycle plants. So I'm going to take you through the basic differences between the simple cycle plant and the combined cycle plant. So I'll start with efficiency. In terms of efficiency, simple cycle plants have lower efficiency. Combined cycle plants have higher efficiency. We will understand that as we move along. And then in terms of fuel consumption, simple cycle plants have higher fuel consumption per unit, whilst combined cycle plants have lower due to the waste heat recovery. The components, simple cycle plants are only made up of gas turbines, whilst combined cycle plants are made up of gas turbines, the steam turbines, which some are also referred to as the HRSG, the heat recovery steam generator. In terms of cost, simple cycle plants have a very low initial investment. Combined cycle plants are quite expensive because, I mean, as part of purchasing the gas turbine, you have to purchase the equipment for the HRSG as well. So obviously, it's more expensive. When it comes to the startup time, simple cycle plants are faster. So they are better used for peaking plants because they start up very quickly. Combined cycle plants are a bit slower because then it takes time for the water in the HRSG to heat up to give you the combined effect. For emissions, simple cycle plants have higher emissions, but combined cycle plants have lower emissions due to their better efficiency in their makeup. Now, this is a pictorial view of a simple cycle plant and a combined cycle plant. So on my left is VRA's, on the left is VRA's KTPS plant. This is a simple cycle plant. And as you can see, it has just a gas turbine. There's no HRSG attached to it. And on the right is Sono Nasogli's combined cycle plant. As you can see, you have the gas turbine as well as the HRSG on the side. So this slide basically shows the types of simple cycle plants and combined cycle plants we have here in Ghana. So for simple cycle, we have the Awomaso TPP plant, that's VRA's plant in Kumasi. We have KTPS, that's also VRA's plant in Pong, Tema. We have Station 2, Station 3, these are all VRA plants. And then you have AXA and Senate, the IPP, but they are all simple cycle. Now you come to the combined cycle, you have TAPCO, TICO, all in Takoradi. You have Car Power Ship, Amandi Twin City, also in Takoradi. And then you have Sono Nasogli and Sen Power in Tema. These are the combined cycle plants we have in Ghana. So one of the key challenges in the gas to power value chain is ensuring a sustainable payment model. So this flowchart also shows how gas is paid for in Ghana. Let me put it that way. So I'll take you through it step by step on how, from when the gas is produced and how it's paid for. Now, this also encompasses the cash waterfall mechanism that is currently being used in the country. So at the end of every month, the cash waterfall committee or working group meets and collects data. So as part of the data that the Cash Waterfall Committee collects, they collect actual ECG collections. And then they also collect generation data from the plants, the power plants. The IPPs also submit their invoices to the Cash Waterfall Mechanism Group. Gas consumption data, that's gas that has been used by the various plants, are also submitted to the Cash Waterfall Group. And then you have the gas suppliers also submitting their invoices to the group. Now, what happens is that there's a model that the Cash Waterfall Group works with. This model is based on some underlying assumptions. I have outlined the underlying assumptions there. These assumptions are that the mechanism is actually based on actual power generation and fuel used for the ECG market. That's one of the assumptions. The second assumption is that legacy hydro allocation is based on PURC allocation proportion for ECG. And then you have the TSC1 and TSC2, which is derived from the ECG market, which is also part of the assumptions being paid to GridCo. Now, the model with these assumptions as guidelines then comes out with payment instructions for the stakeholders or the players in the sector. Now, sometimes all these payment instructions are supported by the Ministry of Finance. Now, IPPs receive their payment instructions, VRA will receive their payment instructions, GridCo will also receive their payment instructions. Now, the energy-related payment instructions is then sent to the National Gas Clearinghouse. So fuel-related payment instructions are sent to the National Gas Clearinghouse, where they also pick up and then do the payment of those things. The role of Ghana's energy mix. The role of gas in Ghana's energy mix, sorry. So I'll basically talk about what is gas doing in our energy mix? I mean, how is gas helping our energy mix here in Ghana? First of all, it's enhancing our energy security. Gas is helping us, provide a stable and reliable power supply and reducing dependence on energy imports. It's a primary fuel. So most power plants would prefer to use gas than the DFO and the LCU. It's a cost-effective solution because if you run power plants on gas, your cost is reduced as compared to running it on LCUs. Gas is supporting industrial growth in Ghana. So you have some industry, as I mentioned, like the ceramics, using gas for heating in their industry. It's facilitating the integration of renewables. So natural gas serves as a backup for hydropower and intermittent renewables. So in the evening when there's no sun, still have gas firing the power plants for us to be able to have power. And gas has a lower carbon footprint as compared to oil, DFO, and LCU and the rest. Opportunities that exist in the gas power sector. Now, or the opportunities the gas sector power is providing us, I would put it. So it's helping expand our energy access. So as I mentioned, now we have the K1PP plant in Kumasi. The pipeline being built from Isiama through Pristia to Kumasi has afforded the people in that area access to electricity and developing the rural areas in those places. Now, growing LNG markets. It has increased LNG availability. Even though we currently don't have LNG in Ghana, we have an LNG terminal in Tema. So I'm sure in some years to come, LNG would also be available in Ghana. And we can also export some of the domestic gas that's have here in Ghana as well. Great stability supports intermittent renewables like solar. So when solar is not available, gas is always there to serve as a backup for the thermal plants. Industrial growth, there are a lot of industry coming in here and they're using gas to power their industries and saving them money and more cost effective. Fertilizer, we could go into fertilizer industry in the future and all that. Now gas is also helping reduce our carbon emissions and aligning with global clean energy transition. And there are a lot of technological advancements that gas has afforded the country. So it's improved our efficiency and reduced our operational costs in terms of power generation, thermal power generation. Now, while gas to power presents significant opportunities, there are also challenges we need to address to ensure long-term success. For instance, infrastructure constraints. So you have the cost of infrastructure in this business is quite huge. It doesn't come cheap. So building power plants, LNG terminals, these are all very costly things that are more like a challenge in the gas to power sector. Now you have supply chain constraints. So LNG logistics are very complex. Putting them together is not so easy. So as I mentioned, we have the Tema LNG company, but I'm sure there are a few supply chain constraints here and there, but in some years to come, it will be functional. Now you have price volatility. Price volatility in the sense that global gas prices fluctuate, impacting the affordability of gas. Example here is the price we pay for NGAS, the Nigeria gas. So the Nigeria gas is indexed to the US CPI and Brent crude oil, Bonny Light crude oil. So when there's any change in these prices, it affects the delivered price that we will pay for gas here in Ghana. We have regulatory and policy risks on certain government policies and market regulations. I mean, if the regulatory policies in the country is not very favorable, it's definitely going to affect the sector, given all the players in the sector. Now we have competition with the renewables. Solar, we don't have wind yet, but I think in some years to come, the pricing of solar may become competitive with the pricing of gas as well. And then we still have the environmental concerns. Even though the carbon emissions are not as much with gas, we still have methane leaks here and there, which still pose emission challenges to country. So I'll talk about technological innovations in this sector. I'll start with the advanced gas turbines. So, I mean, there are advanced gas turbines that provide higher efficiency and lower emissions with improved design. So in the future, we hope that most power plants would use or would be able to purchase some of these gas turbines to be able to help lower our carbon emissions into the environment. And then you have digitization and AI. This basically would help to optimize plants' performance through predictive analytics. Now in VRA, we use the SCADA system at the moment. SCADA meaning supervisory control and data acquisition, where data is collected and analyzed by engineers and used to predict future gas demand and aid in planning. But with AI, we hope to use digitization to help in proper generation planning and accurate future gas demand. LNG, well, I've talked about LNG. LNG is still a technological innovation where we can also look at to be able to export some of the domestic gas that we have here in Ghana. So with the LNG terminal in Ghana that has been built by the Tema LNG, hopefully in some years to come, we'll be able to export some of the domestic gas. Now you have carbon capture and storage. Carbon capture and storage is not available here in Ghana at the moment. But some countries have started using this innovation to be able to reduce their emissions and generate power by reducing their CO2 emissions for cleaner gas power generation. We have the hybrid gas renewable system. Currently, our system in Ghana, I would say is hybrid because we have the hydro, we have the solar, we have thermals as well. So they both complement each other and help us have a very stable grid. Now, hydrogen co-firing is also a new innovation that is coming on. So in this case, they use hydrogen with natural gas to lower the carbon footprint. Hydrogen co-firing is not so common, but it's being tried out by some countries like Japan, who are testing the technology to see how this technology can help in the gas to power sector, basically because they want to reduce the emissions that go into the environment. Now that we've looked at the technology that can improve the sector, let's look at the key strategies to unlock in the gas to power sector. So infrastructure development, we need to develop our infrastructure, our pipelines, our LNG terminals, our power plants to ensure a reliable and efficient gas supply for power generation. We need a stable policy and regulation. We need competitive pricing models. So we need to engage in long-term contracts and diversify our supply sources to be able to manage our costs. We need to improve our efficiency through the adaptation of more technology and innovation, and then renewable integration, which we are currently doing, but I'm sure can be done better to be able to ensure that the reduction of emissions and into the environment. So how does Ghana's quest to improve gas to power sector align with net zero goals? So what really is net zero? Net zero basically refers to the balance between the amount of greenhouse gases emitted into the atmosphere and the amount that is removed. Now, the net zero goals are divided into three. So you have the short-term goals, the medium-term goals, and the long-term goals. So these goals, as you are seeing on the screen, for instance, the digitalization of gas power plants efficiency, I have placed them under the short-term goals. So the short-term goals is basically a span of time from 2025 to 2035. And we hope that between that year, Ghana should be able to digitalize most of its gas power plants to ensure that we have efficiency and reduce our emissions in the environment. Now, under the medium-term goals, the span is from 2035 to 2050. We hope that by that time, Ghana will be able to catch up with the development of carbon capture technologies, where we can also go into have that technology to be able to store carbon and reduce the emission of carbon into the environment. And then the long-term goals are from 2050 and beyond. Even though the West is now testing the hydrogen-ready plants, I think that Ghana should be ready beyond 2050 to be able to also test some of these hydrogen-ready plants. So I have placed the transition of hydrogen-ready gas plants into the long-term goals. Now, the other point where it's strengthening the regional gas markets in West Africa. Somebody would say we should put it in the long-term goal, but I think I'll place that in the medium-term goal so that hopefully by 2035 to 2050, we should have a strong regional gas market in West Africa to be able to have a stable power supply in the region as well. Now, job prospects for young professionals. So there are a lot of job prospects in this field. I'll touch on a few. We have the engineering and technical roles. You have the HSC and environmental specialists. You have the power plant operators And then you have the commercial and trading experts. So I'm a commercial person and we work with both like negotiating of gas sales contracts, pricing and all that. So as much as possible, even the commercial experts also need to have a bit of technical information to be able to thrive in this sector as well. Now, skills needed to thrive in the gas sector, gas to power sector. You need technical expertise. So a strong foundation in engineering, operations, and gas plant management is crucial. You need the regulatory knowledge as well. Understanding the energy policies and market dynamics is key to making informed decisions in the sector. Now, data and digital skills. Technology is transforming the energy sector. So you must be comfortable with technology. You must be comfortable with new technology coming, AI, automation, predictive maintenance. You should have some digital skills in that area. And project management. Large-scale gas infrastructure projects require very strong project management skills because these are multi-billion-dollar projects that you really need. You have to have knowledge in project management to be able to handle them. And then we have sustainability and HSE, professionals who ensure environmental compliance and work safety. Entrepreneurial opportunities also exist. So you have entrepreneurial opportunities in gas infrastructure services. We hope that the business community can venture into pipeline construction, maintenance, logistics, equipment supply and repairs, providing spare parts, turbines, and maintenance services to the power plants, HSE and environmental consulting, so consultancy firms that ensure compliance with safety and environmental laws, energy solutions and efficiency, gas-powered mini-grid. So these are all things that we hope that the entrepreneurs would venture into to help boost the gas to power sector. And then, of course, last but not the least, we also need training and capacity building. So we need an industry in-house or in Ghana that can provide specific training and programs in the country to tailor suit our needs as Ghanaians and what we need here in Ghana to help boost our gas to power sector. So my closing statement would be that, the gas to power sector is still evolving and professionals who will adapt to these changes will have a competitive edge. I urge you all as young professionals and entrepreneurs to try and get yourself abreast with the happenings in the sector and also improve your skills, sharpening your skills, read wide, so that you can be a very useful asset in the gas power sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, esteemed speaker, Mrs. Kate, for preparing to share with us your expertise, your understanding, and your experience on this particular topic, gas to power framework, unlocking opportunities for sustainable future. I don't know for others, I believe this presentation has actually exposed us to the gas to power framework in Ghana from your presentation and the opportunities that you even addressed, looking at all the way to the substations and how the gas are being utilized in industrial perspective, residential, power generation, and even transportation. I believe the audience are ready with a lot of questions, but I don't know if we are taking 5 minimum questions because of time. Organizer, kindly let me know. You can send a message to update me. And so at this point, let's kindly take some questions. Let's kindly take some questions. Please, it's either you use the hand symbol indicator or you put your questions in the chat box so that I read it to the speaker for her to address it. Questions and answers. If not, okay. So this question is coming from Ifwa. Is the cash flow payment system very effective? Ifwa is asking if the cash flow payment system is actually effective. So, speaker, I believe you can take this one up.
Okay, thank you for your question, Ifwa. Well, I would say the cash waterfall mechanism is not entirely effective, but it is helping to address a problem that exists in the sector. So problem with payments and accrued payments, debts in the gas to power sector. It's doing something, I would say, but it's not entirely effective addressing the whole problem. But I think with its implementation, we've seen some improvements in payments and reduction in debt accrual.
Okay, I believe if your question has been well addressed. If not, you need to change the speaker in her DM. All right, so a follow-up question from Ifwa. Is VRA considering building combined cycle plants for future power projects given the benefits? Is VRA considering building combined cycle plants for future power projects given the benefits?
Thanks, Ifwa, for your question. So yes, VRA has plans to retrofit its simple cycle plants to combined cycle plants. So we have the T3 in Takoradi. There are plans to retrofit that to a combined cycle plant. And even the KTPS plants in Hong, there's also plans to retrofit that. So in some years to come, that plant would be a combined cycle plant. Going forward, you would have new plants coming on board that are likely to be combined cycle plants. So yes, VRA knows the benefits of running combined cycle, and we are really looking into that area. So thank you.
All right, so Kate, please, I want to ask this question coming from me. From your presentation, the earlier slides, you projected a chart highlighting on the volumes of gas that go into flaring, that go into injection in the upstream to back up the reservoir pressure, then some that goes into how do you call it, other uses. But my question is based on the percentage of gas that are being flared. The question is, from that long time till now, and I believe the data I presented is current, why do we still flare a lot of gases, even though EPA places volumes of gas that can be flared? And if you go beyond, you pay. Why don't we have enough storage facilities? I don't know if that's what Ifwa asked, but then why don't we have enough storage facilities? Looking at even the ceramic company in Takoradi, that they use some of these gases in their productivity. why don't we have enough storage facilities so that the number of gases that are being flared can be stored, or they just have to flare it? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. So with regards to the flared gas, the gas is not flared deliberately, let me put it that way. But certain activities happen that there is no other option than to flare the gas. So for instance, when there's a maintenance ongoing in the gas processing plant in Atuabo, now production is still ongoing on the fields. So they are producing oil, and so gas is produced. They may be able to re-inject some of the gas produced, but they won't be able to re-inject all. So in that case, the gas that needed to go to the processing plant for processing has to be flared because of some of these maintenance activities. Sometimes you also have overproduction from the oil fields. And, you know, the GPP has a constraint. You have about 150 MSCF per day. That's a constraint for the gas processing plant. So if you have gas going in there, which is above 150 MSCF, the rest of it has to be flared. Otherwise, you compromise the integrity of the facility. And then we have trips here and there, faults. So power plants that are supposed to use gas maybe on a particular day suddenly have trips or faults and are unable to use the gas. Gas cannot be stored in the pipeline. So in that case, in order not to build up pressures in the pipeline, sometimes some of these gas is flared. And that's the total of that is what you are seeing there. It's just an annual total. So that's what you are seeing there as 11.19%. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you very much for the answer. Yeah, and so we have our last two questions. Yes, we have our last two questions. There is also another question coming from Abina. After that, I'll read out Irabina's question. So Abina is asking that, Kate, how will digitalization fit into power plants' energy transition goals? How will digitization fit into power plant energy transition goals?
Okay, so with digitalization, I mentioned in my presentation that currently VRA uses the SCADA system. Now, the SCADA system basically provides us with information to be able to do planning. So it's real-time information to do planning and gas demand and forecast. But with AI, we want to take out the human element from that. So now the AI will then do the predictive maintenance, will do the analysis, the forecasting for the power plants, and even predict how the power plants can be run efficiently. So that's how we are looking we are looking to use AI to improve upon our efficiency in the power plant. Now, you also have smart grids. Smart grids are basically run by AI. So they would be able to know that, okay, there's a need for power here. There's a need for you to boost your gas demand here. There's a need. Yes, we do that manually, but it would be easier and more faster to use AI and more, even in terms of predictability, be able to use AI to do that more and avoid the human errors in that sector. I hope I have answered your question. If there's any follow-up.
Sorry, I think I was reading Ike's question under Ifwe's name, so that is a point of correction. So Ike, I believe all your questions have been answered. So the last question from Irabina: are there plans for a bigger capacity gas processing station by Atuabo? Are there plans for a bigger capacity gas processing station by Atuabo?
Well, I think there is. I can't say that, well, I've chanced on any document saying there's going to be a new gas processing plant, but I've heard that Ghana Gas intends to increase the capacity of the GPP. So the 150 is like a restriction now, and I'm sure Ghana Gas are doing their best to find solutions into improving or expanding that gas processing plant, or even building a second gas processing plant to be able to take the additional gas that may come on. I mean, it's also a place where I think entrepreneurs can go into. If the money is there, why not? You can always build gas processing plants for the country, and then sure the energy sector would know how to facilitate all that and then see that. But I think yes, Ghana Gas would in the future provide some additional, but as to when, that one I'm not too sure. I don't have the information on that.
All right, thank you, Kate, for that. Yeah, so okay. Yeah, so at this point, we will take closing remarks by the program's lead, Efua, Engineer Efua Kutu Bidiaku. So Efua, at this point, you may have the floor now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. I hope I can be heard.
Yes, please. You can be heard.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you all so much for taking time to join today's webinar. On behalf of SPE Ghana, specifically the Student and Young Professionals section, I want to offer profound gratitude to Madam Kate Lamptey. Thank you so much, Madam, for honoring our invitation, for putting together an in-depth presentation. It seems someone is on the floor as well. All right. Thank you, Madam Kate, for honoring our invitation, for putting together such in-depth presentation. I'm sure we'll all go back to watch the recording. We don't take for granted the time you have taken to do justice to the topic. Thank you once again. And SPE has a lot in store, so I encourage everyone also to keep checking our WhatsApp group for upcoming programs. I think even today at 4 p.m. we have another program that's going to be going on, so kindly be on the watch out. Thank you all our audience also for making time to join. I would like to, at this juncture, I think Abna is present. Okay, so our YP section chair is around. I would just like her to give a little wave, just say something short to us before we close for the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Special appreciation to our speaker for today, Madam Kate, to our moderator, to Efua yourself, to Kwamina, and to our entire participants on the call today. Thank you for joining. I believe it was an insightful session. Personally, I've learned quite a few things from today's lecture. Look forward to our upcoming programs and engage and connect as always. Thank you once again for joining the call.
Thank you, YP Chair, for your presence, and thank you everyone as well. And so we move on to the announcement part. Yeah, so these are all upcoming programs. This is happening tomorrow. That is having an entrepreneurial mindset. That is from the TTU Academic and Student Liaison Committee. So let's mark our calendars and then participate. You see, SPE has a lot of programs that you may never know. You have a lot of things to learn. And so let's make up time and join this tomorrow at 5 p.m. Then we also have D&I, Diversity and Inclusion, essay writing competition. The committee head said this is not for only ladies. men are also inclusive. So essay writing competition in celebration of International Women's Day 2025, accelerating action for gender equality. There's a cash prize for first and second place. And so let's grab this opportunity. Then we also have League of Volunteers, SP League of Volunteers. So SP International Standing Committees open for application. And so you look at all the available open slots, ATC Programs Committee, Awards and Recognition Committee, all of them. When you visit the SP International website, you go to the SP League of Volunteers, anywhere that you think you can also contribute your strength, your ideas, you are welcome to do that. Then we also have SP Africa Call for Exhibition. The theme is Navigating the Future, Building Technological Excellence for Sustainable Energy in Africa. So from today, 27th to 29th May 2025. So let's also take this into notice. Yeah. So I think that is a follow-up from the first one. And this brings us to the end of our student lecture series, which today's version marks the 4th time. And one thing that I will say before